I love you, Queen. Queen.
You motherfucking queen, and I love you. Queen.
What's going on, everybody? Dev Del Molino here, the synthesizer of opinions, and today I'm back with a review from this new group called The Carters. They're dropping this new debut project titled Everything Is Love, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about it 65432 style. 65432, 6-minute review, 5 things to know about this project and this new group. My 4 favorite tracks off the album, 3 adjectives I have to describe the album, and 2 official potential Dev Del Molino ratings. Is the album hot or is it not hot? Who are the Carters? Obviously Sean Carter and Beyonce Knowles Carter will make up this group. They decided to drop off a little 9-track, 38 minutes or so album thing. They would of course do this thing on a surprise note. This album just sort of popped up on Tidal. I'll call it like I see it here. This seems like to me a conclusive part 3 to a saga of albums that began with Lemonade, and then we had 444, and now we're here with Everything Is Love. Both of the first 2 albums here are excellent, and I say this sounds like part 3 because a lot of the material seems residual of those 2 albums, sort of supplementary to the motifs and lyrical content, song topics that are discussed in both albums very, very heavily. This album also seems to have a bit of an agenda to cap off a lot of what is talked about on those albums, particularly their marriage and where they stand today. And yeah, this thing is, again, pretty straight to the point, so I'm gonna be pretty straight to the point and get to my 4 favorite tracks off of the album, because there's some good ones here. Starting at the bottom, my 4th favorite track on the album is gonna be Summer. This is the song that opens the album up, and I just like the warm introduction. Again, I believe this album does have that agenda, that idea in mind that, we want to declare to the world that things are okay between the 2 of us. And it's the warmth, the cohesiveness, the overall comfort that is displayed or demonstrated through this song musically that can sort of hammer that message home for the fans. Number 3 for me is gonna be Boss. The first thing, I love the horns on this song that sort of serve as the main chorus for the instrumental. That element gives this song a very Donny Trumpet, social experiment type timbre. And overall, this thing has a great summery, very casual groove to it. Beyonce sounds pretty great on this song. Jay-Z does his thing. It's a good track. It's a good track. Number 2 favorite song is going to be Black Effect. From the start, we're getting a very nice, emotionally grounded sample to kick things off. B's background vocals on this song sound a lot like the ones you heard on Family Feud. I really like this hook about being good on any MLK Boulevard, in the nation. When I go through the track listing, this is the song that really stands out to me, especially in that first listen. Number 1 song on the album for me, my favorite, the one I thought was the best, the one I'm going to listen to the most, has to go to the Pharrell produced Nice. From the first note, you can hear the Pharrell production influence just the entirety of the record. Has his fingerprints all over it. I really like the instrumental. It reminds me a lot of Neon Guts off the Lil Uzi Vert Love Is Rage 2 album. Pharrell has definitely been in a canal of inspiration with the type of production that he's throwing out there with featured artists. This is definitely following suit with that sound. And I think this Jay-Z verse to kick things off is one of his best in a while, like top 3 in the past few years for sure. He really adroitly and succinctly tackles the relentless, unwavering effects of institutional racism. And in the same breath, we're still getting a really slick record. Like, this thing isn't heavy by any means. Beyonce comes into this thing bagging, dripping, draping. This thing just has sauce all over it. I just think every element of this track is working really well together with Pharrell, Jay, Beyonce. They sort of all come onto the chorus, and that just adds a nice highlight to the song, a nice highlight to the album. And I think this is gonna be the song that I end up playing the most, and then the song I really do think is best. 3 quick adjectives to describe the album. I'm gonna kick things off with calculated. Again, this seems like, to me, part 3. And I think coming with a duet album was the idea going into Lemonade, so this idea has been in the works for probably more than a couple years. Again, this thing just has that residue of the past 2 albums and really seems to be in the same creative space. And also, like I said, this thing sort of has an agenda to it as well. So it would make sense that the Carters would go into the first 2 albums, anticipating that this album was gonna tie up a couple loose ends. And finally, this seems like a nice place to end this chapter for Beyonce and Jay-Z. I don't know that they know what or when their next albums are going to be. They both just came with pretty career-defining, excellent records. So we may not really be hearing from them in an album sense for quite a while. Second adjective for Everything Is Love is going to be casual. This album feels like exercise for J and B. They're getting to tackle some different instrumental song topics, flows, deliveries that we're not really gonna hear on either of the albums that they just put out. It seems like they went into this thing with an open mind and idea to have a little bit of fun with the record. In most cases, this comes off pretty fresh, pretty nice. In a couple songs, it sounds a little hollow or just not all the way finished. I definitely feel this way with the lead single, Ape Shit, along with maybe one or two other tracks on the album. But overall, the vividly casual nature of the album makes it a little bit easier to enjoy Everything Is Love for what it is. And finally, I would say this thing is fine. Fine in the sense that the aesthetics of this album take ghetto fashion and sort of heighten it up to the bourgeois. I mean, the video for Ape Shit being shot in the fucking Louvre, like, how baller, how fucking cool. And this album is fine in the sense that it's just fine. Again, for what it is, I think it's a really solid album. As for hot or not, we're gonna give this a motherfucking hot. I wanna know what you're thinking. As always, drop those comments down below. Favorite tracks, adjectives, hot or not. Follow me on Instagram at 40ounces.dev. And that's gonna be it for me. I have been Dev Del Molino. You have been so wonderful for watching, as always, and remember, art without favor is like a windmill without wind. Dev Del Molino,